To say, hey, how much does it cost, to get started and get pre-approved? Well, nothing. It'd be kind of me asking you, what's it cost for someone to go look at homes?
Well, that's a wonderful question, Brad. Thanks for asking.
No worries.
So what a lot of buyers, I don't think, realize, especially, again, those who haven't done that before, is that a realtor doesn't cost any money until you get to close on the house.
Right.
Much like,
Like
your
us.
business.
Right. How about that?
Well, I appreciate you not wearing such a busy shirt today.
Are my shirts too busy usually?
The last one was very busy.
That's a very busy shirt.
It is.
Well,
my wife saw that and she's like, "Does he wear the same shirt every episode?" I go, "No.
No, it's a different one.
I said, "No, he has a lot of shirts that kind of look
Similar.
busy like that."
Yeah. But now it's sweater weather.
So it is.
Which I don't like.
You don't like sweaters?
I don't like sweater weather.
Yeah, me neither.
I like sweaty, hot
Yeah.
sunshine.
I'm not sure why I live where I do, because I do enjoy warmer weather all the time.
It's my parents' fault.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't move.
You could have moved.
I could have, but I didn't.
You ever see yourself moving south permanently for, your future?
I usually only see myself in the mirror.
There's no way I'm cutting that out.
That's a good one.
No way I'm cutting that out.
Hey, Brad Nickham, Nest Mortgage Group here.
Brian Quinlan, Daniels Real Estate. Thanks for joining us for another episode of A Real Estate Makes Us Drink. Brad,
Cheers.
welcome to the party. Well,
what are you drinking today?
Well, today we're going local. Daredevil Indy. It's it's a light lager, which I appreciate.
Yep.
Not too hoppy. I also appreciate that. And it's not an IPA, which makes it even better.
Yeah.
Which tequila are you drinking today?
Corralejo. It's a good tequila. And as you can see, the workers drink because they didn't put the sticker on the bottle.
So
drink a little bit.
If anybody watched the previous episode, and I like to roll my R's, that's actually Corralejo.
Corralejo.
Yes, you got to roll the R's because it's the double R.
Yeah. I always hear my friends in Mexico say Corralejo. So they don't roll it on that one, but I agree with you. I like to roll my R's whenever I get the possibility.
Well, I was taught in Spanish class anyway.
Do you know anything about this beer?
So no, I do not.
Do you know where they're located?
Daredevil is, I'm fairly certain,
Speedway,
Indiana. Yeah, exactly. It's actually right near the Speedway.
What's the logo there?
Well, the logo is it's an Indy.
It's an IndyCar helmet.
It's an Indy helmet.
Right. Yeah. We finally got you participate in some form of sport that is racing.
Yeah, drinking.
Yeah. Drinking. Whenever you have race cars and a beer, those two things I think just go great together. Don't you?
Probably not. Not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea. I doubt any of them drink in the race car.
Yeah, probably not.
No, it'd be hard to put that in a couple.
So connected, I should bring this in sometime, though it wouldn't go with my theme of beers. So a friend of ours, she is a former anesthesiologist. She has started her own whiskey company.
Founders something.
It's called Fortune's Fool.
Fortune's Fool, yeah. I've seen it in a wine and cheese shop in Wabash, Indiana.
No way.
It has all kinds of liquor. I've seen that in there, and then I seen a post from your wife and went, wow, that's in Wabash, Indiana.
Super cool. Well, my connection here is James Hinchcliffe, an IndyCar driver. Is their brand ambassador for Fortune's Fool, and I got to meet James Hinchcliffe at their launch party, which was very cool.
Nice guy?
Not a huge, very nice guy.
You are a huge racing fan.
I'm not.
I see you becoming.
Nope, that is not going to happen.
A huge racing fan.
Nope, but that's okay. I don't have to like all sports.
So let's be fair. You've never been really around it, though, right?
I have only been to the track a handful of times in my life.
And that's probably as a skeptical spectator that doesn't really know much about racing.
That is correct.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the first time I went to a Colts game.
Okay.
Right. So a friend of mine got us he was a radio personality here in town, and he got us these great tickets, and we sat where all the players' families sat.
Okay.
So really good seats.
Absolutely.
We left at halftime.
Oh, okay.
I really didn't know what was going on in the first half. Maybe if you went to a race with someone that was a little more involved and can teach you some things about racing, like I have learned about football, and probably watch more football now that I have my whole life. Like last night, I even watched Inside the NFL show on the CW.
I don't even watch that.
Yeah, I was. It was a very interesting show. So, football now to me is a great sport. I really enjoy it. Baseball, on the other hand, not so much.
Yeah.
Basketball, not so much. But football, yeah, I like.
Okay, well, welcome over to the football side.
Yeah.
Perhaps now you're telling me we need to go to a race.
We do, yeah. We used to have a joke, okay, so you'll probably cut this out, but my son used to say, my son was a motocross racer, professional motocross racer, and his friends were like, oh, I play baseball. And he's like, well, I'm in a sport that requires 2 balls.
Wow, okay.
Because it does.
Oh, yeah, it takes a lot of guts.
Leave a comment if you think Brian should go to a race.
Speaking of comments, so if you like what you see here, if you want to share this with somebody, feel free to do that. If anything piques your interest and you want to have a conversation with me about some real estate in the Indianapolis area, I'll have a Calendly link down in the comments. Feel free to hit me up there and we can schedule a strategy session, just talk, get some questions answered, whatever. If it's mortgage related, I can pass you on along to Brad and he will help you out and then bring you back to me because then we'll talk about real estate. So, yeah. Sound like a good plan?
Sounds great to me.
You know what kind of dawned on me as I was driving here? Many people don't know like what we do on a daily basis, like how our job actually works. And so I figured, Brad, I'll start with you. Like, what do you feel that people need to know about mortgage brokers that they don't know?
Well, first of all, I'm not a mortgage broker.
Right.
It's the first thing to know. I used to be a mortgage broker back in the day. Mortgage banker, though. Difference between a broker and a banker. A broker gets paid to shop your mortgage to bankers.
I actually knew that. They teach me that in real estate school, but that's just the term that I use.
So when you cut out the broker, deal directly with the banker. So we're what's considered the wholesale money, if you will, or not that brokers don't do a great job. What they do, and they have some great products out there that they can do as well. But as a banker, we control the entire process. I'm at my desk on the phone all the time.
You are. I mean, I call you like, oh my gosh, I had so many people to talk to today. You're a very busy guy.
Yeah, I'm on the phone constantly. So I don't know. There's a lot of things people don't know about the mortgage industry, how the mortgage industry works. A lot of people think a mortgage company makes money off of the interest that you pay, and that's just what they make. But it's not that at all. Money is all mortgages become bonds, and there's servicers and securitizers, and the money's sold multiple different times. Money making money on money. So a lot of people don't know that. That's a deep, boring process to explain. I watch the market all day. I pay attention to what the bond market's doing all day, what the treasury indexes are doing all day, because those are factors that change mortgage rates, so that's important. Watch all of those reports that you have mentioned, like this CPI report and the PPI and retail sales and all that stuff. So,
okay, so if I am a customer looking for a lender, and one of my concerns, especially if I've never done it before, is how much is that going to cost me? So, like up front, as a new buyer, what do I need to be aware of when it comes to how you get paid from me?
Well, you don't pay me directly.
Oh, okay.
So when you're doing the process, the upfront process, you're getting pre-approved. Now, there's no cost to getting pre-approved with us. Some banks do have application fees. We do not have any application fees. So when we go through the call to get somebody pre-approved, that's just a phone call, maybe some documentation, a pre-approval letter's out there, and then off you go shopping for a house with your agent. We actually get paid after you close on the loan. So, there's all kinds of people get paid on a mortgage, right? I always say there's about 100 people in your pocket. When you start with title company, you have a closer, you have an abstract person that does the search, you've got someone that records that at the county gets paid, you've got a surveyor if there's a survey done, there's an inspector, there's an appraiser.
Now, keeping in mind, by the way, as a potential buyer, you're not writing a check for each of those people. Much of that comes down into like one fee that you pay.
What's called your closing costs.
There you go.
Right. So there's all these people that are in that line. My job really is to orchestrate all of those people doing their jobs in the right time frame, gathering the right documentation to get it closed on the day that it's supposed to close. And once you get an actual accepted purchase agreement, that's when we disclose what each one of those closing cost fees are and who those fees go to, and kind of break all that down for you. But to say, hey, how much does it cost, to get started and get pre-approved? Well, nothing. It'd be kind of me asking you, what's it cost for someone to go look at homes?
Well, that's a wonderful question, Brad. Thanks for asking.
No worries.
So what a lot of buyers, I don't think, realize, especially, again, those who haven't done that before, is that a realtor doesn't cost any money until you get to close on the house. Right. Much like, your business.
Right.
And, I feel like the world of real estate may change in the coming year or so. But the way that the system is kind of set up right now is that most of the time, as a buyer's agent, I get paid by the seller's agent or by the seller, however you want to think about that. So in this scenario, if someone is going to sell their house, an agent ideally comes over there, gets them to list their house with that agent, and they have a specific percentage that they go by for listing their house. And that is negotiable. That is not the same in every market. And but just for fun, we're going to say 5%. Okay, so as someone who's going to list that house, they're going to charge the seller of the house 5% of the final price of the house. Well, in that agreement, it also states what percentage they're going to be giving over to the buyer's agent on the other side. Now, here in Indiana, it's actually illegal to be the agent for the seller and for the buyer. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes, but it is possible to do it that way. Not the same in every state.
So wait a second. So that means that if you're getting ready to buy a house, it's not a good idea just to call the sign, but a better idea to have a realtor that you already work with?
Correct. And I say that because the challenge is, as the agent who's working for the seller to sell their house, they're going to know things about that seller. They're going to know a little bit about their finances. They're going to know, let's say that they're going to list their house for $300,000, but that seller has said to their agent, let's go with $300,000, but if someone makes us an offer, we'll go down as low as $280,000. Well, if the buyer comes in without an agent and says, hey, we're interested in this house, what can you tell us about it? If I'm the agent for that seller, I can't share that information with the other side, though that could be beneficial to the buyer.
But you already know the information.
Absolutely, I do, but I can't sway them. I have to work on behalf of the seller more so than I do the buyer. So it's called fiduciary duties.
So kind of like if you were going to sue me, say it was for telling dad jokes that weren't funny, and you were going for damages.
Man, I've started a list.
Yeah, so I wouldn't want to just hire your attorney to defend me, right?
Exactly.
I'd be an idiot.
Oh, absolutely. So, because again, that person...
Once he heard 4 or 5 of the jokes, you're out. I win.
They're not all that funny.
Maybe not.
A portion of the commission is shared with the buyer's agent, and you as the buyer in that particular scenario don't owe your buyer's agent any money at closing. You just have your closing costs, your down payment, all the stuff that's on the borrowing side of things. Now, like I said, that's not the same in every single case.
Sure.
Because sometimes people do for sale by owner on their house. And they do that to save money, because selling a house, if you're giving up 4, 5, 6% commission, that's a lot of money. And so they want to save that money, and maybe they've done real estate deals before. Okay, so that's fine. If you're the buyer's agent in that particular case, then you have to talk to the seller and go, hey, are you willing to pay my real estate commission? And they say no.
Couldn't your buyer agree to pay and negotiate into the contract?
It is possible to do that, yes.
Unless it's a VA, FHA, or a USDA.
There you go. So there are ways to negotiate that in, so not necessarily coming out of your pocket per se.
Right.
But again, I don't do many for sale by owners. It just really doesn't come up all that often. But it is possible to work with an agent in that particular case.
So what happens if you are another one of them phone calls happening there? What happens if you show a person a home and they never find a house, they never buy a house, and how much do you make then?
Zero. And that's the thing.
In fact, it's a negative.
I will actually say this. There is a contract called a buyer's agency agreement that a realtor should have signed by the buyer, because what it does is it protects both sides. Because we have a certain standard of ethics that we are upheld to, and it's stated right there in that contract that we're going to be ethical. We're going to do all these things for you, but it also protects the agent, because it says that you as the buyer are not going to go work with another agent while you're working with me. In that contract, it states what amount of money you work for. And there are several blank lines in there that you could fill out. You could actually do a minimum amount of money due. So that if
they don't find a house?
If someone does walk away, yes, you could be owed that money for the services that were given.
I didn't know that. I don't think I've ever seen that.
And I will say, in my case, I have always done it where I literally put zero in there.
Sure.
Because I just know that at closing I'm going to get paid on the seller side. But again, that's something that could be changing here in the near future. So we'll see kind of how that evolves over time.
Sure.
But, that's one of the selling points that I give to my clients is like, you know what, you're not going to owe me any money unless we do for sale by owner. If that's the case, we're going to have a conversation later on down the line. But there is a line on there where it could be a fixed amount, or let's say they work with you all the way to closing and they buy a house that's, $75,000 and your amount of commission that might come out of that is like $800. Okay. $800 is nothing to sneeze at. Don't get me wrong, but for all the work that you might be doing,
you might have $800 in gas.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so there is, you put a dollar amount there and it says, I'm going to work for this percent or this minimum dollar amount. And then, the buyer in that case is responsible for kind of the difference.
So surely if you list a home and you do all the marketing for the home and you do all the pictures for the home, you surely get paid up front for that, right?
Also no. So same idea. The listing agreement essentially lays out, here's the percentage that we're going to sell your house for. Here's where we're going to list your house for. The price is on there, and then a little bit lower shows what your percentage of commission is going to be. And again, you don't get anything until it actually sells.
And photos and drone footage and marketing, and you guys get all that for free though, right?
We don't. Yeah. Now there are some agents who have their own drone, who take great pictures, and I don't recommend your agent coming with their cell phone to take pictures of your house.
What if it's a really good, like brand new Apple 15 Pro X with the camera they show on TV that you could shoot a movie with? What if they're using that one?
Okay, they're excellent cameras. Okay, you're not wrong. And again,
But
there are some agents who can take really good pictures.
Right.
And I don't want to discount those people, but the majority of the time, it's good to have a professional photographer come in, and that's going to cost a couple $100. It's not cheap to have a professional photographer, because not only are they going to take good pictures, they're also going to edit them.
Sure.
And they're going to make it look even better.
Right.
And that's what you want, because the whole idea of the pictures is to draw the attention of someone when they see it online, like, oh my gosh, that house looks fantastic. And that, leads them through the web of pictures that they're going to see, and you want them to be good.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than looking at like a $300,000 house and it looks like the same person took a picture of a $1,500 car and put it on like Facebook Marketplace. Right?
Or, they did it with their cell phone camera and maybe have it on a tripod, and then in the mirror you see the realtor standing off to the side, or there's a picture of the couch and there's the dog. Like, come on.
Or even the reflection of their own face in something.
Absolutely.
Right? Like in the mirror or something.
That's the kind of stuff professional photographers think about. They take care of that stuff, and they knock that out of the way. So
yeah, your job and my job are very similar on the side that, I can work a 40-hour week, which would be awesome to do a 40-hour week. I don't know what I would do with the rest of my time. But work a 40-hour week and make nothing that whole week. But on top of that, have costs, right?
Yeah.
So make a negative amount, because, credit reports aren't free, and running things through automated underwriting costs extra money as well. And the whole job, is an investment to do this. And then
Absolutely.
that's how you get paid. So a lot of people don't know that. That's what
my job is not just going to unlock a door and let someone walk around somebody's house.
Right, because you golf too.
Because I have to wait. I do around other times.
Around all the other things you're giving you.
But I mean, I have to make money to pay for the golf. Come on.
Right.
So, Brad.
Yes.
CPI report, which I know is something that you follow.
I do.
Keep track of.
Always behind it.
Now that I've said it, someone may want to know what the heck is CPI. And 2, how does that relate to mortgage rates? Because they are connected.
Yes, they're connected, but they're not connected.
Correct.
One is
associated. Is that better?
One's a result of the other.
Okay.
Right? So CPI is Consumer Price Index. That is the Federal Reserve's favorite index to follow inflation, but they always strip out fuel and energy.
We've talked about that before, and that's just silly.
You kind of think of why, though, right? So fuel already makes food costs high. Fuel already makes everything you buy high. Energy causes everything you buy to be more as well. So maybe you're taking a bit of a double hit.
Yeah.
If fuel prices come down, then some of those other prices can, also get a little bit of reprieve because it's not costing so much. I mean, when you look at the CPI report that just came out, everybody expected us to have a 1% increase in a total core CPI, and we actually had a 0.5% decrease month over month. Year over year, we stood at I think it was 2.7 or 2.4, I don't remember which. Hang on. I actually took a picture of it.
2.7 or 2.4 higher or lower?
Higher.
Okay. For the year?
For the year. Yes, for year over year. So 2.7. So when you think about that, means prices only went up 2.7. The Fed's goal is 2%. So we're almost to the Fed's goal. So what really kind of created some excitement in the market yesterday is the fact that this may mean the Fed doesn't raise rates in December.
And you said last month that seemed like it still could be possible.
Still could be possible. I mean, they're still talking really hawkish about the whole thing, and there's not. You never know what they're going to do if they do it, right? And sometimes not doing anything causes problems too, because we all know what they're going to do by the time we get there. There's been enough forecasting of what they'll do. But when the Fed chairman speaks afterwards, it's about what he says, right? So last time they didn't move, they paused. Right. We all knew they were going to pause. The market was ready for a pause. And then in the question and answering section, he talked about how there could potentially still be 2 more rate increases. So the market's like, just based on him saying that he's got a lot of power. Now, that market move did make him kind of retract some of those statements later. And he said that he was retracting those statements just to move the markets. Huh. A key to when you look at the Fed and you look at the people that are making these decisions, you would think that we put some of the greatest economists in place to be able to make the financial decisions that drive the prices that everybody buys everything they need. But we don't. They're all attorneys. None of them have any economic background at all.
Huh.
So just another place where lawyers are involved, and I'm probably now going to get sued for it, making maybe some inflection that lawyers don't know how to run the economy.
Disclaimer, I did not say any of that.
Right, yeah, and I'm going to hire his lawyer.
That I don't have, so it's fine.
At any rate, so CPI is, a driver of inflation, but that's not the only one. It's the one that everybody's talking about today, but you also have what's called PPI, and that is a wholesale index. So that's what companies are selling products to other companies for. So we're looking at consumer price index, and then the other one is wholesale price index. And then another thing that came out today that we have to watch is retail sales. Because if retail sales are going down and inflation is coming down, and then the key one to watch is unemployment. If unemployment is going up, that means the economy is slowing down. That means inflation is going to continue to slow. And that means interest rates will come down, because interest rates follow what's happening with inflation, because the bond and the treasury indexes follow what's happening with inflation. You're not going to invest your money in a treasury index that isn't keeping up with inflation.
So what I'm hearing is we actually want unemployment to go up.
Yeah, when you're in the mortgage world, and actually if you look at what's been happening with unemployment for the last 6 to 8 months, unemployment has always been recorded that we have this really great economy and that everything is just rolling forward as is. And they'll say we've created 200,000 new jobs, and then what you don't see is a month later they make adjustments to those numbers and they go, oh well, we actually only created 75,000 new jobs. But they've also taken out a very important index that the BLS used to use that had to do with the death, how many people died, how many people were no longer working. That was part of that percentage. If you left that in there, we've actually been losing jobs every month instead of gaining jobs. But whatever administration's involved, they kind of control the narrative of what the economy is doing. One of the things that showed in the last unemployment that really was huge was the amount of hours worked went down 0.2%. So that number with all the jobs was another equation of X amount of jobs lost. Another thing that happens in there is if you stop looking for a job, you just flat gave up, you come out of the unemployed ranks. So they don't count those people that aren't counted anymore, right? And then you also look at wage growth or wage stagnation, I think is how they say it now. So we've been in that for a little while too. So really, if you look at the base of employment, it's been coming down for a while. They had no way to hide it in the last one that came out. The last report that came out last Friday was, hey, wages have gone down, the amount of hours worked have gone down, the amount of new jobs created has gone down, the amount of people that fell off that continue to look for a job has gone down. So unemployment is growing, which is what we want when it comes to mortgage rates, because it shows that economy is slowing down. If the economy is still running wild, inflation is still going to grow. Here's the thing, the key thing that we all talk about, that the news kind of skews the way they say it. They'll go like, well, prices are coming down. Nope. At 2% inflation, prices aren't going up as fast. And if you take the last 24 months and you look at where inflation was to where inflation is, and you're growing at 6% and 5% month over month, some things have gone up over 20% in price.
Wow.
Now think if you also put that on a credit card that was at a 6% interest rate that today's at a 23%, or you have it on a home equity line of credit that was sitting at maybe 2% 24 months ago that now is at 9%. That just the cost of everything has gone up. So that's why that CPI report's important.
That's a long-winded answer. Speaking of beer, I went to a really cool event this past weekend. Are you familiar with Fowling?
I've never been.
Okay.
But it's bowling with a football.
So it is. So quick explanation. Here in Indianapolis, it's a place called the Fowling Warehouse. I've been there a few times. It is a fun time. So I always describe it as, think of it like cornhole. So there's a board on this side and a board on this side.
Okay.
The board is probably 5 or 6 feet long, and there isn't a hole in it like there is for cornhole. It's a flat board. Okay. On top of that, 10 bowling pins, just like you would with bowling.
Oh, so you throw it.
Yes, and then there's one football for your side, or for the game, essentially, and you throw the football at the bowling pins. Now, of the 10, there's one red one that's actually the one that goes in the middle. If you can hit that red one down on the very first throw and not hit anything else, it's called a bonk. Game over, you win. But if not, then you get as many throws as you need to knock down the rest of the pins. You can throw it however you want. So it doesn't have to be like a normal football. You could underhand it. You could throw it behind your back. You could scoop it. You could hike it like a center. I suppose you could roll it, but it's not really going to help.
You're not going to get the middle pin if you roll it.
Exactly. Also, there's kind of a defense involved. So really, once it kind of hits the ground, the people on the other side could actually stop the ball from hitting the pins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you can't do it while it's in the air.
Full contact or no?
No, and there's no tackling. But I will tell you, and you're probably 15 to 20 yards away from the board you're throwing it at.
That's a long ways.
You have to be able to throw.
Yeah.
Or underhand.
Is there a bar there?
There are 2 full-service bars.
I'll stay at the bar and watch.
That's fine. And I will tell you that when you're down to about 1 or 2 pins, especially if they're separated, it can take a while. I swear, like my wife, first time we went, my wife was playing against another woman who was there. They must have spent like 40 minutes just trying to hit down the last pin. Like, oh, just give up already, because the arm starts to hurt. But we went to FowlFest on Saturday. Fowl, Fowl Fest, which is a beer and cider festival at the Fowling warehouse. So in a section of the warehouse, they had 15 to 20 beer vendors. Right. And what you pay for is your unlimited Fowling for 4 hours. And then you get unlimited samples from all of the vendors there. And actually, Daredevil was one of them, which is actually why I bought this beer.
Any tequila people?
Beer and cider. There may have been tequila at the bar, and you could have gone over there and gotten that if you wanted to.
Sorry, I forgot the beer and
correct. So it was a super fun time. There were a couple food trucks outside. You did have to pay separately for those, but at least there was food, because the Fowling warehouse actually does not have food at all. Oh, they will let you bring in food. You can order pizza, have it delivered there.
Oh yeah, you can deliver.
You could DoorDash it. Absolutely, awesome. You just can't bring in your own drinks, which that makes sense.
Right.
But it is a good time. So if it's something that you're looking for something fun to do, it's an okay date night experience. It's a fun group experience to go do that. I recommend the Fowling warehouse. Go check it out.
How about that? Is downtown by Mass Ave?
It is. Yeah, it's kind of northeast of Mass Ave by several blocks.
It's actually still Mass Ave though.
But it's not on Mass Ave.
No, it's just off on the side of the railroad tracks, right?
Truly, I don't. Look it up.
It's down by Mass Ave. Okay. So you said there was beer and cider?
Yes, there was. Though there were only 2 ciders.
Was one of them Dickens?
Good night, everybody.
Some interest rates have come down a little bit, but we don't really tell a lot of people that, because
no.
Then they think rates come down, but rates really went up today from yesterday. So,
and that's the thing. It's actually funny. This week, I subscribed to a Google alert for mortgage rates and one for Indianapolis real estate. And I got one the other day, and it's a list of headlines that happened that day. There was one about mortgage rates where one headline was, rates are coming down, lowest we've seen in blah, blah, blah time. And then the literally next line was, rates are up. I'm like, what? Yeah. How can it be both?
So my pet peeve is Rebecca Jervis on Good Morning America.
Okay.
She's some kind of financial person before she became just a news person. Not that just news people. News people are great. They have a great job, and I have respect for what they do. But by the time she reports on what she reports on, one, she doesn't talk about the why behind what she's talking about. And by the time she's reporting it, it's already different. So today, like if you watched Good Morning America this morning and you listened to her talk about interest rates, you're going to think that the rate today is 7.4. But maybe it is for her if she has an 800 credit score and she's buying a $500,000 house and she's putting more than 20% down with a debt to income ratio that's under 29%. But it's not 7.4 if you're a first-time home buyer with a 680 credit score doing an FHA loan with 3.5% down. There isn't just a rate.
Nope.
And that drives me crazy, because I'll have people call me and they go, what's the rate today? Between 2 and 12, what are you trying to do? Because it's all different. And for every person, for every mortgage is to not be cliche, it's a snowflake. Every piece of that is different every time. So,
and during a given day, it can be
rates change a couple times a day.
Yes. I have an article here that I liked from Keeping Current Matters that actually talks about home price forecasts for the rest of this year and into by the end of 2024.
Is this part of your newsletter?
It is probably going to be a part of my newsletter. I just got this one today, so if
shameless plug for Brian, okay, because he has a great newsletter called The Thrill.
The Thrill.
Yeah, it is a great newsletter. Always has great information. If you're not getting that newsletter, drop your email address in the. What do they do? Slide into your DMs?
They could slide into DMs, or they could just leave a comment.
Yeah. No, but it's great info every time.
Well, thanks.
I learned about the Butterball hotline.
Exactly. It's not just real estate. I give tips,
right,
and fun information.
But it's a great newsletter. I should probably have a newsletter. I should have Brian do a newsletter for me.
You have one that comes in my mailbox like every
You do have one that gets mailed to your
3
house
months,
once a month. Yeah.
Once a month, okay.
And a postcard once a month. Too,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, I get that too.
That's good.
Okay.
Anyways, what
Yes, okay, so home price forecast, and this is from Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, and NAR.
Have you ever met Fannie?
I've not.
I bet she's nice.
Yep. So the average for all the forecasts from these three branches predict, and again, a prediction, not necessarily guaranteed to happen. So with only a month and a half to go in 2023, the average here believes that home prices will actually go up by 2.8% by the end of 2023, which in a month and a half is actually quite a nice bit of home value.
That goes back to the Case-Shiller that came out in the 1st of November that showed we were month over month like 2% the month before. So.
Yeah. And then on top of that, the average increase by the end of 2024 is an additional 1.5% on top of that. So
I've seen some even higher.
Yeah.
A prediction of near 10% growth in 2024.
So now this, just kind of reading here, says this means if experts are right, according to the national average, after your home's value goes up by 2% this year, it should go up another 1.5% next year. So that would be on top of what it had gone up for all of 2023. So that is good news for those who are owning their home and look at the equity that they're going to gain in their house over the next year potentially. Good for those who are looking to buy a house, because the sooner you get in, the sooner you start taking advantage of the equity that you will gain in your house over time. And good for those who are thinking, you know what, I'm not going to sell right now, but you know what, we're going to do it next year. Well, by the time you're ready to do that next year, your house will have gained in value and hopefully you'll be able to sell it for more money. So this is really a very nice prediction for the real estate market. I find it funny looking at this graph that 2.8% is the average increase. Fannie Mae is 6.7%.
Right.
And MBA is only 1.5%. National Association of Realtors actually has it at 0.1% by the end of the year, but 6.7% for Fannie Mae is a huge difference.
So I think what happened, because some of those predictions are a lot lower today than what they were 6 months ago and a year ago. And I think a lot of those predictions are based on the fact that a lot of people have thought the interest rates are going to stay in the 8s through all of 24, which is going to slow the amount of homes that are sold. Like right now, if you look at a lot of the numbers, we're really low on the amount of homes that have sold, like some of the lowest numbers in 25 years. Right. Yet homes that are selling are still selling with multiple offers. I have 2 deals in my pipeline right now that are over $20,000 over list price. Wow. I got a new purchase agreement yesterday that was listed for $215, sold for $237. Wow. I was going to do that math and my brain went, nuh-uh. And that had like 20 some offers on it, and that's a house in Greenwood.
Wow.
So if a house is priced right and it's fitting into that pocket where everybody's shopping, you still have more people looking than what's available. I mean, one of the things we hear all the time is that inventory is still low.
Record low.
And if interest rates do come down, which now that we've seen a sliding CPI, a lower PPI, an increased BLS jobs report, increased unemployment, now you're having all these people say, oh, we've reached it. We finally hit May 10th. It just happened in November, right? But,
November 10th.
So if this really does start to bring interest rates down, and let's say that we curve to, a spring or summertime interest rates are, I heard a prediction this morning in the 6s. If home prices, if interest rates fall to the 6% into the spring and summer, home prices are going to go nuts. There's so many people that are in the market to buy, even at these 7s and 8% rates. November, 3rd best month of the year for me. December right now is a little better than November. All of a sudden, there's a lot of people jumping in and getting pre-approved. So that could mean this spring, my FHA borrower that needs seller concessions is now trying to pay $20,000 over list to get a house.
Yeesh. Yeah.
Jeesh.
Exactly.
So I think those numbers could be low compared to if interest rates change.
It's interesting to think about this time last year with the expectation that we were going to get into a recession this year, and prediction that the market was going to be bad because of the recession, blah blah blah. Never happened.
We're there now. Those signs are starting to show. Because now you do have all of those indicators that the economy is slowing down.
Well, that sets up for an interesting 2024.
It's an election year, so.
Oh man, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Add that on top of it too.
We propped the economy up a little bit during an election year, but people are still. People feel the 20% in increases of what's going out their door, and they know that when they go get gas at the pump, I don't know how much it is because I haven't got gas in a while, but $3 something a gallon.
Oh yeah, we're like probably $320 to $340 range, I believe.
So people are feeling that, and that's going to drive a lot of frustration. I think the economy is probably the strongest thing people are talking about today.
Okay.
But it's kind of like houses, right? If somebody needs one, the interest rate may be higher than what they want to pay. The house may cost more than they want to pay, but I don't ever see a time that a $300,000 house is going to cost $250,000.
No, sir. There's always a reason people need to sell their house. Even it doesn't really matter what the market is. People need to move for a job, death in the family, kid is born, so they need more space.
Are they moving away from the kid? Oh,
probably not. More space for the kid and the growing family, and there's just always a reason that people need to move.
Right.
Interest rates don't matter at that point.
Don't matter, yeah.
If you got to go, you got to go.
In the 80s, people were double-digit rates and still buying houses like crazy.
Yep, and still buying houses like crazy today.
Yes, they are.
All right, we'll cut this off.
Thank you, Brian.
We're shaking hands now?
We did,
This is great. We'd like to thank you for watching this episode of Real Estate Makes Us Drink. Hope you had fun. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe. That would be great. Leave us a comment. We're always looking for comments, and we honestly don't get very many of those, so that would be fantastic. And until next time, take care. And actually, I'll say Happy Thanksgiving because this will be a Thanksgiving
We're not going to do one next week?
No, man.
I was ready. I was going to talk turkey.
Do we need to talk turkey now?
No, we'll do it next week.
We're not going to be here next week.
Fine, we'll talk turkey after the turkey.
All right. Well, again, thanks for watching, Brett. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
As always,
Thanks
good
for
hanging
coming
with you. All right, man.